Hello, my dear students and viewers. Welcome to my channel Scorpio class. If you're looking for class 10 SSLC second language English lessons explanation and question answers, then you're on the right platform and watching the right video. As in this video, we are going to discuss class 10 second language English chapter Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and we are going to see a quick summary of this chapter in an easy language and easy method. So let's get started. But before that, yes, my dear viewers, if you also want all the other lessons, explanation and question answers of English subject and the notes of social of class 10, you can visit the description box and find the playlist link where you will find all the videos of both the subjects. The link will also be shared in the I button above. Now let's get started. But before that, if you are new to my channel and watching my video for the first time, do subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you get the notifications of all the upcoming videos. Now let's get started with the chapter's explanation. But before that, let us see the introduction of the chapter. So here, this lesson, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, it's an extract from the message that was given by Sri R. Venkataraman, who was the former president of India, who had written in his book of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, The Man and His Message, a commemorative volume. So, this particular chapter is an extract from the book written by a former president of India, R. Venkataraman. So, let us see what do we have to learn in this chapter in the form of summary. So, as we all know, Ambedkar was a voracious reader. What is remarkable is that he bought books by sacrificing other needs. The author cites two instances to show what an avid reader Ambedkar was. In New York, if he bought 2,000 books, in London, where he went for the second round table conference, he bought books which had to be sent to India in 32 boxes. So here, author writes that Ambedkar was a voracious reader. He was a book lover. He loved to write books and he had an unsatiable thirst for it. And this is shown with the two instances which are given here by the author. The first example or the instance is that Ambedkar, he was an avid reader. We come to know that when he was in New York, he had bought around 2,000 books. And while in London, when he was there for the second round table conference, he bought so many books that it had to be sent to India in 32 boxes. So these are the two instances that are given by the author that shows that Ambedkar was really a voracious reader and he sacrificed his other needs to take or to buy that books. Now there were different influences that made Ambedkar fight for an egalitarian society. The 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the USA, giving freedom to the black Americans, Mahatma's movement for the welfare of the Harijans, Phule's attempts at a classless society had an impact on Ambedkar, and he started his crusade for the uplift of the downtrodden through his newspapers, Muk Nayak, Maheshwar Bharat, Samata, and his institutions, Hitakarani Sabha, and Independent Labour Party. So here, author says that there were different influences that made Ambedkar to fight for an egalitarian society, to fight for an equal society, to bring in an equality in a society. So that various different influences were the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of USA, where freedom was given to the black Americans. So this was one of the influences which came into the mind of Ambedkar. And the next was Mahatma's movement for the welfare of Harijan in India. Then Pule's attempts to make a classless society. All this had a great impact on Ambedkar and he started his crusade, his fight for the upliftment of downtrodden people. Through various newspapers, he started writing articles in his newspapers like Muknayak, Bahishrit Bharat, and Samata. And then he had various institutions through which he started working for the upliftment of the people. The institutions were Hitakarani Sabha and Independent Labour Party. Now, Ambedkar impressed all as an elected member of the Bombay Legislative Assembly. He made effective contributions to the debates in the Assembly on the variety of subjects. The Indian National Congress chose Ambedkar as the chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly. Though Ambedkar was not in the Congress, this afforded Dr. Ambedkar the opportunity to give the most notable and permanent shape to his social philosophy. Ambedkar took painstaking efforts in framing the fundamental rights, which he did keeping in mind the Indian situation as well as what he had seen in other nations. So, viewers and my students, here we come to know that Ambedkar he had impressed all as he got elected in the Bombay Legislative Assembly. As he became the member in the Bombay Legislative Assembly, he impressed all the members over there by giving his contributions in the debates in the assembly on various subjects. So, then Indian National Congress chose Ambedkar as a chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly. This committee is a committee which was made to make the constitution. Okay, so here he was made a chairman, and though Ambedkar was not in the Congress, these people chose him as a chairman. And this was a great opportunity for Ambedkar to mark his shape and bring out his ideas and bring a more notable change in the social philosophy. Whatever thought he had about the society, whatever changes he more wanted to make in the society, the equality, what he wanted to bring up in the society was here where he got an opportunity to bring it out. Now, Ambedkar, he took painstaking efforts. He worked hard in framing the fundamental rights which are mentioned in the Constitution. And he did all these things, keeping in the mind the Indian situation as well as whatever he had seen in other nations, what the people were suffering and how he has to undergo. So all this was there in the mind of Ambedkar, and keeping all these points in his mind, he framed fundamental rights. Now, there were many other members who contributed to the Constituent Assembly. So, we had Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, K.M. Munshi, and Gopalaswamy Iyengar. Along with him, we also have the constitutional advisor B.N. Rao, who helped Ambedkar in the forming of Constituent Assembly, the Constitution, and he also explained the others the complicated legal concepts which were there in a layman's language. He made it in a simpler language, in a common language, and made it understandable to each and everyone. So this is how it was helped by each and every member in the framing and the making of the Constitution. While framing the Constitution, Ambedkar recognized the mutuality among the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. He took the he kept in mind the connection between all the three regulating bodies and also kept the importance of citizens in his mind. Then, in recognition of Ambedkar's legal expertise and the vision of social justice, Nehru also chose Ambedkar to be the first law minister of independent India. The way he was expert, Ambedkar was expert in his vision of bringing social justice in the society. Through this, Nehru chose him as the first law minister of independent India. And the author writes it that it was a great opportunity, a great feat for a man who was born to a Mahar family and he was considered a modern Manu. Now, it is because of the efforts of visionaries like Ambedkar that people belonging to scheduled caste they started enjoying equal opportunity in different fields. They also got higher places in the institutions and even in the public services. Now, however, the writer also writes the laments the fact that there are still the instances where discrimination against scheduled caste and scheduled tribes are going even now. So now if we have to consider the work of Ambedkar fully done, this should stop. So writer sees and he feels that still there are some instances where discrimination against the low class or scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are still going on. So he says, if you want to consider the work of Ambedkar as fully done, then we have to stop this discrimination. Now, to summarize the contributions of Gandhiji and Ambedkar, we can break down into the caste barriers even as the British had divided Indians. The author says that Mahatma impressed the higher caste people that they had to be noble towards the lower caste. They should be noble towards the lower caste. Whereas Baba Sahib Ambedkar spurred, he focused and so-called lower caste people, he spurred them to fight for the rights. He motivated them to fight for their own rights. So thus there was balance between the two, and the circle of bringing an equality in the society or bringing a revolution in the society was completed by Gandhiji and Ambedkar through their own different ways of working. Then, lastly, paying tribute to Ambedkar on his death, Nehru referred him as a symbol of revolt. He, Ambedkar, was referred as symbol of revolt by Nehru while he was paying tribute to Ambedkar on his death. Now, Nehru was of the opinion that despite differences of opinion among political leaders about Ambedkar's ideology, what all had to reckon with was Ambedkar's persistence and perseverance in making people fight for the rights. So, though there were different people, different political leaders who had different views about Ambedkar's ideology, but there was one thing which was uh, to be looked upon about Ambedkar was his persistence and his perseverance, which he had in his mind and which he showed through his way of working in making the people fight for the rights. The author ends with the hope that soon Ambedkar's dream of an egalitarian society would be a reality in India. So while ending the lesson through this extract, the author hopes that very soon Ambedkar's dream of an egalitarian society, of an equal society, would be a reality in India. So with these few lines, the summary of the chapter gets over. I hope this lesson is understood to you all. And if you also want the notes of this chapter, you have to stay tuned to subscribe to my channel, and we'll be soon back with the notes video. Thank you.